My name is Cristina Lucrezia Corner. I will be the honored Master of Ceremonies for these 2 days. I'm really very honored to welcome you in Astana for this 12th edition of the International Workshop P2P Financial Systems, hosted in these amazing premises of the National Bank of Kazakhstan. We are here in the right place, in the right moment, and we will be talking about this amazing agenda that is being developed here in Astana, in Kazakhstan, to develop the new ecosystem for the digital future. And I'm really honored to welcome, for the welcoming address, the Governor of the National Bank of Kazakhstan, Timur Suleimenov. Timur Muratovich, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction, and I'm really honored to welcome all of the guests that are present here in Kazakhstan. As has been mentioned, this is the first time in 12 years that this conference is held in Central Asia, which I think proves 2 points: that financial innovation and inclusion is equally important throughout all of the world, and that Central Asia is becoming one of the hubs, really, of this rapid technological and financial development. So welcome to all of us, and it's a great pleasure and honor for us as the National Bank to be hosting this conference. Well, I guess we all know that we're witnessing one of the most significant transformations of the global financial architecture. Artificial intelligence, fintech, digital assets, and central banks, digital currencies are changing the financial services, payment infrastructure, and the very manner of the way the money circulates in the economy. And for us, regulators, central banks, of course, that creates a lot of opportunities. And well, opportunities are mostly for the people and the markets. And for us, it creates a lot of new challenges as well. So on one hand, of course, it improves financial inclusion, efficiency of financial services, supports innovation. On the other hand, of course, we have to face the challenges of ensuring financial stability, competition, security, consumer protection, and overall maintaining the trust into financial system. So, and that, of course, is prompting us, central banks, to move beyond our traditional roles as regulators of monetary circulation and become, well, maybe it's too strong a word, but architects of the new digital financial environment. When it comes to Kazakhstan, we obviously view digital transformation as a strategic priority for our country. Today, about 94% of retail payments are already conducted online through digital means, and all basic financial services are available remotely. Open banking and digital identification continue to develop rapidly. This progress reflects a strong synergy between GovTech and FinTech. Financial institutions have become one of the main channels for citizens and businesses to access digital public services and business services. At the core of this transformation lies the national digital financial infrastructure, which provides secure and interoperable rails for payments, identification, data exchange, and new digital services. The scale of this shift is reflected in its operational indicators. Last year, the turnover of the payment market exceeded 1.5 quadrillion tenge. The volume of QR code payments amounted to 3.8 billion transactions, totaling 20.1 trillion tenge, easily surpassing the, well, we already call them traditional transactions through point-of-sale terminals. And the bulk of this transaction is processed through the national digital financial infrastructure, the aforementioned, which is run by the National Bank and therefore is equidistant for all market participants, big or small. Today, this level of digital penetration is increasingly perceived by both markets, regulators, and citizens alike as a basic standard. In this regard, since 2025, the National Bank, together with all other agencies, Financial Regulation Agency, the Ministry of Digital, the Astana International Financial Center, we have started to implement a comprehensive digital transformation across several key areas. The first area is the development of regulated market for digital assets and fintech industry. Kazakhstan is building a transparent, regulated ecosystem for digital assets, including digital financial assets, stable coins, RWAs, and crypto assets infrastructure. Crypto fiat channels have already been established through more than 10 commercial banks. We have 6 tokenization platforms fully operational, and so far we have issued, the market has issued 3 tenge-denominated stablecoins. New products and business models in this area are currently being tested in the National Bank's sandbox, regulatory sandbox. In 2025, the regulatory perimeter for the digital assets market was finally completed. As you know, we started back in 2022, but we started slowly and carefully with this Astana International Financial Center jurisdiction. But then we saw that the market needed more. The market needed and required integration into traditional financial channels, and therefore the 2025 marked the year when we established the countrywide, the national regulation of the crypto circulation. So basically, this is the foundation of the new sector, the cyber crypto financial sector of our economy. So today we are forming the unified, synergetic ecosystem for digital assets based on close cooperation between the general jurisdiction, the AIFC, and now more than ever with Alatau City. I think we have our colleagues from Alatau City Authority remember the name. It will be one of the big things in Kazakhstan for the years to come. So this cooperation makes it possible for the best elements of all jurisdictions, of all regulations, international financial expertise, and areas of specialization to be put into very good practical use for the greater good of Kazakhstan's economy and financial sector. And of course, strengthen our position of the digital financial hub in the region. To accelerate the build-out of the crypto market infrastructure, the Kazakhstan Stock Exchange, which is majority owned by the National Bank of Kazakhstan, has been more or less motivated and instructed to go ahead first. So we kind of pushed and nudged our own exchanges to go ahead and obtain registration with the National Bank to provide service as an operator of digital financial assets and to carry out activities of the platform, of digital financial assets trading platform as well. So the first licenses have been issued, and this just shows our approach that we're not waiting for the market to catch up with the regulation. We more or less built out the regulation and the infrastructural part in parallel. So basically on May 1st, the regulation came into force, and basically a couple of weeks later, the first license was issued to the Kazakhstan Stock Exchange. And I think this approach of having both traditional finance and digital finance under one roof, it's by no means is unique to Kazakhstan, but I think it shows a very good approach where you have to integrate and then have sort of the best of both worlds, digital and traditional. It makes the teams, makes the management all to be aligned along the same goals. We need to unify and get the synergies out. So the second area of the joint work that we're doing here in Kazakhstan is, of course, introduction of artificial intelligence into both activities of financial regulators and the market itself. And this year we have launched 20 plus practical AI solutions. Well, they're now not very unique. I think a lot of central banks and regulators pioneer and play with the with artificial intelligence project. Of course, they will be related to supervisory, regulatory, analytics, and I think very important one is fraud prevention. Namely, we have the National Anti-Fraud Center, which helps us to fight the crime, and in that area, introduction of artificial intelligence helped the officers at relevant agencies to identify the financial fraud 80 times faster. And to date, more than 140 fraudulent incidents have been prevented from happening. So the third area is the development of Digital Tenge, the CBDC of Kazakhstan, and the national digital financial infrastructure as a whole. So basically, as you know, Kazakhstan is pretty developed in terms of retail payments, online payments, and therefore we didn't go into retail, not to compete with the market, but we decided that wholesale, basically earmarking, programming the public expenditure is more important for us. The state is pretty big in Kazakhstan. We have a lot of projects financed either through the state agency directly or even more so via state-owned enterprises. So basically, we want those money to be put into very good and transparent use. So that's why we already issued 340 billion Digital Tenge. One of the key, two of the very large infrastructural projects, one railroad and the other one is the gas pipeline, have been conducted and concluded in Digital Tenge, which allowed us to see how that needs to be approached, what sort of intra-agency cooperation you will need, what sort of infrastructural tie-ins and linkings you will require with respect to different information systems. So that has equipped us with a huge practical toolkit, and that's why we have a very strong support from the government, which basically, of course, operates the public expenditure. And in 2027, we will increase the amount of projects to be financed through CBDC, through Digital Tenge, to 1 trillion tenge. And that is the key focus for CBDC in Kazakhstan. At the same time, of course, we are developing the national payment infrastructure, the unified or national QR system, anti-fraud system, open banking, and digital identification systems. Well, dear colleagues, distinguished guests, of course, I think that this is crucial to develop this sector, while at the same time maintaining the security and balance between innovation, stability, competition. That is why the role of regulators, central banks, is changing very rapidly. And we must not only ensure the stability of the monetary and financial system, so the price stability, financial stability, they remain. This is something that we cannot eliminate from our DNA, and this is something that we were required by the law to do. But at the same time, I think our role changes. In many ways, we need not only to come up with the modern day regulation, but also with infrastructure, because to wait for the market to come up with infrastructure, especially when you have larger financial players, when you're running risk of having a closed ecosystems, that's why you have to create the regulation and the infrastructure for the market so that it develops coherently and with as much competition as possible. And this is something that we're doing here. So basically, we as regulators, we must adapt, we must change and embrace new roles. Well, I know that over the course of this day and tomorrow, there will be a lot of discussions related to anything from AI on the financial market to security, maintaining competition, and all sorts of things in between. So once again, we're privileged and honored to have all of you here in Kazakhstan, and we do hope that this will be a very practical, hands-on seminar, which will enrich all of us, and we will go back to our countries and do something better for our citizens and businesses. So the best of luck to all of us, and we're very happy to see you in Kazakhstan. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think one of the most key concepts of this workshop has been amazingly discussed by this welcoming speech, the synergy of the traditional and innovative finance. And who else than the founder of this workshop that has taken place in 12 years in different central banks around the world, including Germany, Uruguay, Vara in Dubai, and different academic institutions. This person is here, and this person is responsible for bringing these amazing people here. The founder and the chairman of the Exponential Science Foundation, the founder of the UCL Center for Blockchain Technologies, Paolo Tasca. Paolo, please, welcome on stage.
Too kind, Christina. Kallitan. Good morning, everybody, colleagues and friends. Thank you to be here. I'm very happy to see familiar faces also who travel so far, so long to come here. Yes, Christina, as you reminded this workshop, I did kick off this workshop when I was working at the Central Bank of Germany in 2015. And I'm very pleased in this room now to see how far we went here in Astana at the National Bank of Kazakhstan. So let me start thanking Mr. Governor Timur Suleimenov and for his welcome address. And I want to share my sincere gratitude to the National Bank of Kazakhstan for hosting us in this amazing building, I want to say. I also would like to thank the Deputy Governor, Binur Zoranov, the National Payment Corporation in Kazakhstan, the Astana International Financial Center, Kazakhstan Stock Exchange, the Kazakhstan Central Security Depository and the Ministry of AI and Digital Development for having helped make this gathering possible. So thank you. So today we open, as also you, Mr. Governor, said, a new chapter here in Central Asia. It's the first time that we come in this part of the world since 2015 when we launched this workshop. We started with a simple idea, but a bit ambitious, and I think we share this vision because our goal with this workshop is to bring together under the same room central bankers, regulators, engineers, inventors, entrepreneurs, investors to discuss how these new technologies are shaping the new forms of money, banking, and finance. So this mission continues. This mission remains the same. And this is an open forum, an open dialogue, an honest dialogue where we face reality, where public institutions can meet innovation, where researchers and academics meet market reality, and where all the enthusiasm for these new technologies must be boiled down and meet the concern that arises from stability, from the privacy, from integrity, inclusion, sovereignty, and trust. I'm very glad that you, Mr. Governor, mentioned trust in your speech because this is a key driver of my speech too. So I think trust is actually the main ingredients of this new financial world that is, unfolding. As Christina reminded, this workshop, this event traveled the world. It has been hosted by prestigious central banks, including the European Central Bank and the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland. We had very prestigious speakers in the past editions, and I'm very happy to bring now here in Astana. This is not accidental, and Mr. Governor already mentioned many reasons why we are here, and I'm not going to repeat the reason. So I'm going to cut my speech so you are very lucky that I will short and we will start the event sooner. But the main reason is that Kazakhstan is not just talking about financial innovation. Kazakhstan is building it. The Digital Tenge is the most advanced initiative of central bank digital currencies in the world, I would say. And all these activities that has been done and described before with the Digital Tenge, with the government-related payments, infrastructure financing, public procurement, entrepreneurial support, and other activities show to us that are coming from abroad how Kazakhstan is looking at central bank digital currencies, not just as a currency, but as a new layer of monetary infrastructure. A new layer of monetary infrastructure that need to resort on trust, governance, security, and accountability. And also, as the governor mentioned, Kazakhstan moved beyond the central bank digital currency with a regulatory sandbox in collaboration with other financial market authorities. And all these activities basically tell us that Kazakhstan is not treating digital assets and crypto assets simply as a speculation tool, but they are asking themselves deeper questions, and they are finding a solution to these questions. How can digital assets can be brought inside a regulated financial architecture? How can they be supervised? How can they interact safely with the banks? How they can protect consumers? How they can support capital formation? How they can become useful for the real economy? This is why Astana is the right place for this event. Because the future of finance actually is not an abstract debate. It's visible in the Digital Tenge, is visible in the regulatory sandbox, is visible in the work on stable coins and tokenized assets, real-world assets, is visible in the development of the open banking and digital identity in the national payment infrastructure. And is visible by looking at the constructive dialogue between the National Bank, the National Payment Corporation, the Astana International Financial Center, the Astana Financial Service Authority, the Kazakhstan Stock Exchange, the Security Depository, together with the private sector, startups, commercial banks, fintechs, crypto exchange. This is basically how the new financial system is led here. It's not led alone, but is guided, tested, supervised, and connected to public purpose. And let me say that having been working in different countries over the last years on these topics of CBDC and financial technology, I can say that it's very, very, very rare, very unique to witness such a high level of integration, honest, open, constructive, collaborative approach between these big institutions, even though they are from the same country. This is very unique, and I think this is the strength of Kazakhstan. So the question that we bring now here this year is actually a bit deeper than the one we started in 2015, which is about how technology can impact the new way of finance, the new way of payment, the new way of banking. The question is deeper, and the question is about how can sovereign digital infrastructure reshape the financial system while preserving at the same time stability, privacy, competition, inclusion, and public trust. Over the next 2 days, as mentioned before, we're going to address these questions by looking at the mechanics of Kazakhstan crypto ecosystem in Astana, by looking at the CBDC adoption and open banking, by exploring how the Alatav city and how the Central Asia digital success in relative blueprint for this new financial world. And we are covering all these different type of topics which are not separated between each other. They are part of the same transformation, because money is becoming programmable, assets are becoming tokenized, payments are becoming instant and increasingly borderless, compliance is becoming data-driven, financial intelligence is becoming AI-enabled, and public infrastructure is becoming digital. And digital infrastructure are becoming basically the new dimension of the monetary system, of the monetary power. And on this point, I would like to open a short bracket, because this new digital infrastructure that is becoming the new monetary power is basically part of a more complex dynamic that is unfolding ahead of us, which is basically the global struggle for currency supremacy. I wrote an article about this a few years ago, and this is a long-term dynamic that is unfolding at the global scale, where technology, the use of technology, can help a lot. What I say about this, I mean that currencies at the global scale are no longer competing only, I say only, on macroeconomic fundamentals like interest rates, inflation, trade surplus and deficits, but they are increasingly competing also on the technological rails, data integrity, infrastructure, network effects, and governance. So, if you look at what's happening in the last years in the public discourse, there is this type of debates about the US dollar's dominance as a global reserve. And many say, okay, the dollar will be dethroned maybe by some cryptocurrencies, maybe by some other digital assets. But, I mean, if we look at the dynamics, these are all legitimate questions, you know. If you look at the foreign exchange reserves across the countries held by different countries, you observe that the reserve holding US dollar decreased from 72% in 2000 to 57% in 2025, in favor of other currencies, including the renminbi. So the question is legitimate, but the right question I think is not how the dollars will be dethroned, but what will be the mix of possible alternatives that today evolving financial landscape can offer to governments pursuing a geopolitical advantage. So, to be frank, this is a difficult question. This is even a difficult period, potentially even destabilizing period of transition toward what I call a complex mix of state, government control, and non-state, privately controlled alternatives. Consider, for example, the geopolitical shift underway. All the original BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa have already launched central bank digital currency programs. The China digital renminbi, introduced as a pilot in 2020, has the potential to become the basis for a non-US controlled international payment railway. And at the same time, we have this growing explosion of platformization. If you look at the NASDAQ, the top companies are platform-based companies. So the contribution of the platform economy is growing in terms of contribution to the global GDP. And by platform, I mean a platform like TikTok. Platforms that operate globally, they don't resort in any currency, they don't require cash like a traditional pipeline business model. And for this reason, they gradually can diminish the reliance on US regulatory power over physical trade, which is typical of a traditional pipeline business model. So this is a problem that the West part of the world is aware of, and I would say that US trade tactics and tariff threats, without sounding too much political, I would say even aggressive US trade tactics and tariff threats, are bound to accelerate effort by other nations to challenge the dollar status as the world reserve currency. To counter this risk, the US administration at the same time is embracing privately issued stablecoins. This is a strategy to maintain the dollar dominance without having to embrace the multilateralism. These stablecoins operate pretty much free from regulatory scrutiny and supervision, but they remain very much vulnerable because they run outside, the direct link with access to the Federal Reserve liquidity facilities. And if this dynamic continue in the next years, this creates a profound dilemma for the rest of the world. If there is a growing adoption of USD, or US dollar peg stable coins in the world, and these are adopted in other currency areas, this can create some form of what I can call digital dollarization. And as we speak, there are about $300 billion circulating every day of US dollars pegged stable coins. 5 years ago, they were 11 billion. So these digital US dollars are growing in size year after year. So the risk is very big. The risk is that these growing of these US pegged stable coins, unregulated stable coins, can weaken the local monetary policy transmission. They can create a foreign exchange mismatch for households and firms. They can limit the local central bank's role as a lender or as a result. This is exactly why we are witnessing the emergence of, and then what I think is needed, of a multi-chain new financial system order. This is very much needed because I think that there will be no single cryptocurrency that will run the world. There will be no single blockchain that will run the world and we meet all the needs of the global financial system. We are actually envisaging the expansion of what I call a network of networks, a multi-network level of public-private heterogeneous DLT, distributed ledger technology-based architecture that interacts with non-DLT, non-blockchain-based financial infrastructure to exchange information and value through key components or mechanisms, that is interoperability. So this is a very much necessary step that the world is taking toward this multi-chain financial system order. And at the end, when this will be, reaching the conclusion, the final stage of maturity, we will observe that the monetary power will depend less on who prints the most widely used currency, but the monetary power will depend more on who will build the rails that people can trust and who can orchestrate the global data flow in a secure manner. So here, as always, we try to be honest at the P2P financial system workshops. This creates fantastic opportunities to reduce payment frictions, to access finance, to making public spending more transparent, more efficiency in the markets, new channel for investments, for cross-border payments, and so on. But this also can bring many risks. And we have seen how these, blockchain systems in the early phase have failed. Risk of fraud. I don't need to remind you the FTX, scandals of $10 billion when out of the markets. Risk of cyber attacks. Risk of regulatory arbitrage. Well, I don't want to say the obvious, but everybody knows why Tether, that is controlling USDT, move from Switzerland to El Salvador. Risk of excessive concentration on algorithm. So the risk that we give too much faith to algorithms is a solid risk. Everybody remember what happened with the stablecoin Terra Luna that wiped out from the market about $60 billion in a matter of days. Risk of exclusion, and risk that private platforms may become more powerful than institutions that are supposed to govern them. And also the risk of AI, on which we put a lot of faith. Risk that the AI can take decisions that are biased, opaque, and even difficult to challenge. Actually, an AI model run on an unstoppable blockchain would be very dangerous if the AI model is wrong. So then, overall consider, when it comes to these new financial technologies, decentralized finance, programmable money, digital platform, I think everything boils down to good governance. Who has the authority to issue money? Who controls the payment rails? Who owns the financial data? Who writes the codes? Who audits the algorithm? Who supervises the markets? Who protects the consumers? Who is accountable if something goes wrong? These are the questions I think good governance should ask. So people still believe, that machines, let alone, can run automatically, obtain fairness, transparency, and efficiency. So we don't need humans. Well, this is a powerful myth, but I think this still remains a myth. Technology can reduce some form of frictions and discretion for sure, but technology cannot eliminate governance. Code is never neutral. Code embeds choices. It embeds assumptions about identity, access, privacy risk, compliance, and power. A smart contract may execute automatically, but somebody designed it. A blockchain may be decentralized in theory, but in practice the governance, the infrastructure, the ownership, the influence can be very much centralized. Also a stable coin may be global, may be transmitted globally at the global scale, but the reserves, the redemption rights, the legal structure, and the supervisory framework remain deeply institutional questions. And also the central bank digital currency may improve payment efficiency, but they need to answer, a dilemma, which is basically how to balance, between privacy, scalability, and security, which comes ad hoc when you design a central bank digital currency. So the real question is not whether the future of finance will be centralized or decentralized. The real question is what should be decentralized, what should remain accountable for the public authority, and what governance architecture can connect innovation with trust. This is the trade-off that we need to examine between programmability and privacy, between speed and safety, between openness and compliance, between innovation and consumer protection, between public infrastructure and private infrastructure. And this is exactly why, the presence of central banks, regulators, entrepreneurs, academics in the same room is so much important. No single group can solve these questions alone together. So academic can test assumptions, regulators can define the boundaries, central bank can safeguard the monetary trust and financial stability, entrepreneurs can build, and market infrastructure can operationalize the trust. But only together we can design this financial system that is not only technically impressive, but institutionally credible. So the lesson I learned over the last 10 years, 12 years actually, by organizing this fantastic event, is that by sharing this idea and opinion with esteemed colleagues and friends, I think that the future of finance will not basically decided by who ran the fastest blockchain, or they run the most advanced AI model, or the largest blockchain. I learned that the future of finance will be decided by who can be the rails that people can trust. Rails that are resilient, rails that are auditable, rails that protect privacy without enabling crime, rails that support innovation without weakening monetary sovereignty, rails that include citizens rather than simply extracting data from them, and rails that serve the real economy. So Kazakhstan progress in these matters basically show that a country can move from isolated digital asset debate to a broader national digital financial architecture. And, the Digital Tenge, the tokenization, the stablecoin, the regulatory sandbox, the crypto cards, the AI, open banking, and so on, they are part of the larger question. How does a country build a financial sovereignty in the digital age? And I think this is the question that every country, actually in this very moment, they should try to answer. So how they can reach financial sovereignty in the digital age. This is the time. The time, I think, of dollar dominance may be over sooner than what we do expect. So financial sovereignty today is no longer only about controlling the supply of money. It's also about controlling the infrastructure. It's about data integrity, identity system, payment networks, settlement finality, cybersecurity, regulatory credibility. And this is about the ability for citizens and firms to trust, as I said before, the rails on which economic life depends. So Central Asia, I think, is not at the margin of this financial innovation. It's becoming one of the most important laboratories. And all this work done by this esteemed, and important institution like the National Bank of Kazakhstan are basically important step toward this new financial system. Let me conclude thanking again the National Bank of Kazakhstan for its leadership and hospitality, the Governor Timur Suleimenov, the Deputy Governor P2PFISY Suleimenov, the National Payment Corporation of Kazakhstan, the Astana Financial Service Authority, Astana International Financial Center, and all institutional partners who have supported this edition. I would like to thank also the speakers, the moderators, the paper representatives that we are going to, watch and listen over the next few days, who travel Central Asia and across the world to come here, the scientific committee of the P2P financial system workshops that help to curate the quality of the papers that will be presented, and all the organizing committee of the P2P, amazing team, Exponential Science, the UK Centre for Blockchain Technologies, the Mika Crypto Alliance, and the partners like Solana, the FinTech network of Kazakhstan, and Telegram, for bringing this 12th edition to life. I believe that the work we begin here in Astana can help shape a new chapter in this global conversation between money, technology, and trust, a chapter in which digital finance is not only faster, but safer, not only more efficient, but more inclusive, not only more programmable, but more accountable, not only more global, but also more respectful of national sovereignty and public purpose. Thank you.